Part 27. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 265. Impossible. Yi Xiaozu looked at Ye Fengyang, who disappeared in the sky under the blazing temperature, in disbelief. In her eyes, her master had always been invincible. How could he be killed by Qin Changsheng so easily? Qin Changsheng glanced at Yi Xiaozu, said with satisfaction, "Yi Xiaozu, you will be my little slave girl from today on." "No. I am still a flying saint. I want to avenge my master," Yi Xiaozu said firmly to Qin Changsheng after a brief period of confusion. She is a flying saint. How could she so easily agree to the big bad guy who killed the master in front of her to become his little slave girl? "Take a look at this first," Qin Changsheng said nonchalantly, and a memory fragment appeared in Qin Changsheng's palm. Yi Xiaozu took the memory fragment with some hesitation. This was a memory fragment that Qin Changsheng forcibly extracted before King Fei Yangwu was alive, in order to let Yi Xiaozu followed her willingly. Yi Xiaozu knew that her strength must not be Qin Changsheng's opponent. After a slight hesitation, she chose to accept the memory fragments in Qin Changsheng's hands. After a moment of silence, Yi Xiaozu's eyes dropped 2 drops. Tears. "It turns out, my master loves me so much. Provide yourself with a variety of training resources, just for his disgusting plan." If Qin Changsheng hadn't ruined the marriage proposal, he might have married Ye Fengyang, a young man wearing the skin of a saint. Even if she can't find a partner who satisfies Ye Fengyang, then she herself will be Ye Fengyang's partner. After hesitating for a moment, Yi Xiaozu looked at Qin Changsheng and agreed. Qin Changsheng laughed loudly and stepped forward to hug Yi Xiaozu. The innocent Yi Xiaozu's face suddenly turned red when Qin Changsheng hugged her like this. For so many years in Feiyang King City, under Ye Feiyang's arrangement, she had very little contact with men. Coupled with Yi Xiaozu's status as a saint in the Feiyang royal city, no man dared to go beyond her. Now being hugged by Qin Changsheng, and in front of so many people, I instinctively resisted. This guy really is. She has agreed to be his little slave girl, so she can't wait for someone else to be with her. Before Yi Xiaozu could continue to think about it, Qin Changsheng had already taken her into the Linglong Immortal. At the same time, the system prompts also come. "Didi, congratulations to the Holy Master, you have successfully robbed the flying saint Yi Xiaozu, and the rewards are being calculated." "Didi, congratulations to the Holy Lord, the flying saint Yi Xiaozu has reached the 9th level of the Unity Realm. After 10 times the gain, she will give back to the Holy Lord." "Didi, congratulations to the Holy Lord, the flying saint Yi Xiaozu has the innate wind spirit body. After 10 times the gain, she will give back to the Holy Lord." "Didi, congratulations to the Holy Lord, the flying saint Yi Xiaozu has the blood of King Fengyun Marshal, and after 10 times the gain, she will give back to the Holy Lord." "Didi, congratulations to the saint, the flying saint Yi Xiaozu has mastered the 8th grade Xian level combat skill Feng Kaiun hiding technique, perfect. The 9th grade Xian level combat skill Lingyun sword technique, perfection. King level combat skill Fenjai Unjihu, perfect. After 10 times the gain, give back to the Holy Lord." The familiar mysterious feeling filled his whole body, and Qin Changsheng happily experienced the feeling of relief. However, Qin Changsheng did not directly break through to the Xingzang realm as expected, but only broke through to the 9th level of the Yunhai realm and became a 9th level martial king. Although he was a little disappointed, Qin Changsheng was still very satisfied with his improvement. Currently own properties panel. Holy Master, Qin Changsheng. Age, 19. Physique, innate ice spirit flame holy body, mutated. Bloodline, bloodline of the raging sky dragon king, perfect. The realm of Taoism, the way of the piano, the way of enlightenment and becoming a saint, the way of the sword, the way of enlightenment and becoming a saint, the way of fire, the way of enlightenment and becoming a saint. The way of formation, enlightenment, and becoming a saint. Cultivation realm, Yunhai realm, 9 heavens, 9th grade martial king. Skill, king level 2nd grade alchemy. King level 2nd level Taoist magic. Combat skill, 8th grade Xian level combat skill dragon power 9 heavens body technique, perfection. The 8th grade Xian level combat skill sword immortal arrival, perfection. The 1st grade king level combat skill heart of the fire god, perfection. The bloodline of the raging sky dragon king has been upgraded to a perfect state, and the experience bar is full. Qin Changsheng has a hunch that he only needs the bloodline of another stronger saint to upgrade. The experience bar of the innate ice spiritual flame holy body, mutation, is also full, and my alchemy and formation skills have been upgraded by a whole level. This experience package is still good, it's just a pity that I didn't break through to the Yunhai realm, Qin Changsheng sighed with a little regret. If Yiziazu has the Yunhai realm, if he gets her, he will definitely be directly promoted to the Xingzhang realm and become the martial emperor. However, Qin Changsheng looked at the Feiyang royal city at his feet and rubbed his chin, and pulled out Yiziazu, Shangguan Shishi, Xiaofi Fei, Lin Miaoyan, and Wen Xinyu, relatively powerful women, from the Linglong immortal mansion. Now that the saint has been obtained, let's get down to business. Shangguan Shishi couldn't wait to look at the Feiyang royal city under her feet. Just now, Shangguan Shishi had successfully convinced Yiziazu. Although the young master looks bad on the surface, he is actually a very good person. Yiziazu was also forced to accept the reality. Anyway, I have agreed to become Qin Changsheng and be her little slave girl. Since I have already agreed, I naturally have to do it seriously. Raise all the family forces in the city and actively contribute. Before Qin Changsheng could finish his words while he was suspended in mid-air, Shangguan Shishi, a professional robber, had already rushed into Feiyang royal city with Yiziazu and the 3 girls. Anyway, let me finish my words. Qin Changsheng looked at the backs of Shangguan Shishi's girls with some helplessness, and shook his head helplessly. But fortunately, after he killed Ye Feiyang, the entire family and strength of Feiyang King City cooperated with Shangguan Shishi honestly. Robbery. Even in order to facilitate Shangguan Shishi's robbery, many clan leaders personally led teams to welcome Shangguan Shishi to come to rob. Does it require 4 beautiful sisters to carry it hard? No way. Shangguan Shishi was in Yiziazu's house. He led them to a family in Feiyang King City. At this time, the 4 girls were eating good spiritual fruits and drinking good spiritual tea, with their legs crossed and 4 maids on each side waiting on them. And the head of their family was at this moment. He was standing tremblingly in front of the 4 girls, bending over with a smile and asking where the reception was not good. As for the rest of their family, they were carrying the belongings in the family treasure house with smiles, and piled them to Qin carrying the immortal Linglong immortal mansion. Okay, if there is anything else you need, or if you like it, just ask the saints, and we will carry it to your house immediately. The patriarch of this family is a 7th grade martial king who is in the 7th level of Yunhai realm. The family is considered a big family even in Feiyang King City. But he dares to say no to Shangguan Shishi and others. There is still a lot of people in the sky. The ashes of King Feiyang Wu are floating there. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 266. Feiyang Royal City was so huge that even if Shangguan Shishi woke up the other girls, they were still too busy. Later, Shangguan Shishi simply called on several people from the family to help them collect the loot. Especially in the end, all kinds of heavenly materials and earthly treasures collected by Ye Feiyang over the years, as well as mountains of spiritual stones, and various beautiful spiritual treasures were all collected in Linglong Immortal Mansion. Qin Changsheng didn't have much interest in these things. He had robbed so many holy places along the way, and he had the wealth accumulated by the holy places over thousands of years. But it was what Yi Zhizu told him that aroused Qin Changshen's interest. Imperial territory. Yes, sir, the imperial territory is the most powerful region in the Eastern Barren Continent. Even Yefi Yang needs to hand over a large amount of resources every 10 years to supply the imperial formation Holy Land in the imperial territory. The Holy Land of the imperial formation, Shang Guanshishi's eyes flashed slightly while he was listening. Qin Changshen looked at Shang Guanshishi in confusion. Shishi, do you know the Holy Land of Zhenghuang formation? Young master, Yaokai Holy Land, Yaokai Holy Land. It was the encirclement and destruction by the Imperial Formation Holy Land and the other 7 Imperial Holy Lands that led to their destruction. Shang Guanshishi sighed. Now that she has reached this point, she has to tell Qin Changshen the real reason. Originally, she had given up on avenging the Yaokai Holy Land. After all, the Holy Land of the Imperial level has powerful people of the Martial Emperor level. And although Shang Guanshishi is very talented, without the resources of the Yaokai Holy Land, her efforts cannot keep up with the advancement speed of the sons and saints in the Imperial Holy Land. Therefore, she has given up revenge after meeting Qin Changshen. I am very happy to be a little slave girl for the young master, and I am very happy to rob the Holy Land and rob the saints for the young master. But the speed of the young master's advancement is really too fast, and his strength is also first-rate. I am afraid that he will face the Emperor's level. The saints and saints are not bad at all, especially the terrifying talents. The way of the piano, the way of fire, the way of the formation, and the way of the sword have all become saints. This kind of terrifying talent cannot even be tolerated by a Yaokai saint like her. He couldn't help but feel shocked. Qin Changshen listened carefully to Shang Guanshishi's introduction to the imperial domain and about the Yaokai Holy Land. But to Shang Guanshishi's expectation, Qin Changshen heard that there were so many powerful emperors in the imperial domain. I didn't feel hesitant, but became more and more excited. Young master, you are not going to rob those saints in the imperial Holy Land, are you? Shang Guanshishi had a bad premonition and looked at Qin Changshen helplessly. Looking at the excited look in his eyes, Shang Guanshishi knew that she had finally escaped from the imperial territory to such a remote area. She had not been stable for a few years and was going back again. Bad boy. Shang Guanshishi is still complaining in her heart, but Qin Changshen has determined that his next stage goal is the center of the eastern wilderness continent. The Imperial territory. Thinking about those powerful saintess experience packs waving to him, Qin Changshen can bear it. I couldn't help but get excited. Moreover, Qin Changshen was not ready to give up his identity as the saint of Shang Guanshishi. He could first help Shang Guanshishi rebuild the Yaokai Holy Land, and then take Shang Guanshishi's saintess experience pack. Look at yourself. Lingling the resources in the immortal mansion are completely enough to build a holy land. As long as Shang Guanshishi regains her identity as a saint, she can make the system's judgment successful and get 10 times Shang Guanshishi's experience returned. You must know that Shang Guanshishi is a 5th grade martial king. If Qin Changshen, who is on the 5th level of the Yunhai realm and returns 10 times the experience, will definitely become the Xingzhang realm or even the 1st rank martial emperor. What kind of bad boy? Looking at Shang Guanshishi's depressed expression, Qin Changshen put his arms around Shang Guanshishi's slender waist, hugged her and said with a smirk. Shang Guanshishi's face suddenly turned red with embarrassment. Although she had lived with the young master for some time, such an intimate gesture, Shang Guanshishi was still not used to it. However, she did not resist and sat obediently in Qin Changshen's arms. Do you know how to get to the imperial territory? Qin Changshen looked at the arrogant Shang Guanshishi, who suddenly became so shy and couldn't help but touch her delicate little nose. But, the young master's imperial realm, is really... Don't you believe me? Qin Changshen looked at Shang Guanshishi, who was as shy as a little girl. Qin Changshen said seriously with a straight face. Shang Guanshishi, who was sitting in Qin Changshen's arms, suddenly became nervous and shook her head hastily. Okay, you take them and prepare and we will set off in 2 days. Qin Changshen slapped Shang Guanshishi's round butt a few times with some punishment. Shang Guanshishi jumped up and down like a frightened rabbit, and left Qin Changshen far away with a blushing face. Qin Changshen looked at Shang Guanshishi's leaving figure with a smile. 2 days later, millions of cultivators from Fei Yangqing City stood in the mid-air of Fei Yangqing City and watched Qin Changshen, who was standing on the flying palace, leave. Until the flying palace disappeared at the end of the sky. Then they all breathed a sigh of relief. Shang Guanshishi and Qin Changshen were the only ones in the flying palace now. The other saints began to retreat desperately after learning about what happened recently, especially after learning about Qin Changshen. Changshen was already strong enough to kill the 9th grade martial queen. They even unanimously decided not to break through to the Yunhai realm and never step out of the Linglong immortal mansion. After all, Qin Changshen's progress was a bit scary. With their strength, they could no longer help. Qin Changshen has too much. As for Sci-fi and others, they are also working hard to improve their strength in Lingling Immortal Mansion. Qin Changshen doesn't care about this. Anyway, they can improve their experience. At this time, Shang Guanshishi is carefully studying an imperial copy. Not everyone has a map of the imperial territory, and only a holy land like the Yaokai Holy Land can produce a map that summarizes the entire imperial territory. And in the imperial territory, the martial king of Yunhai realm is nothing. Even most of the holy places in the imperial domain have owners. Emperor Wu of Tibet was in charge. As for those top imperial level holy places such as the Yaokai Holy Land, there are even powerful ones with 9th grade martial emperors sitting in them. As for the entire imperial domain, there used to be 9 such huge forces. Among them, the strength of the saints and saints all started at the Yunhai realm. But because Shang Guanshishi had been escaping for several years, even though she was once the most talented saint in the entire imperial Holy Land, she still couldn't resist practicing without resources. Coupled with the surge in strength of the forces that had swallowed up the Yaokai Holy Land, Shang Guanshishi was even worried that some of those saints and saints had already broken through to Emperor Wu. Qin Changshen didn't care about this. He is now one step away from reaching the Star Tibetan realm. You only need to find another saint with strength above the 5th level of the Unity realm to successfully enter the Star Tibetan realm. Young Master. After studying the route for a long time, Shang Guanshishi squatted in front of Qin Changshen and gently rubbed Qin Changshen's calves. What's wrong? We're going in the wrong direction. Looking at Shang Guanshishi, who was obviously hiding his words, Qin Changshen hugged Shang Guanshishi and held him in his arms. Shang Guanshishi had a very pleasant fragrance, not strong, but the smell made people feel relaxed and happy. Shang Guanshishi, she pursed her lips, looked at Qin Changshen's playful face with moist eyes, and suddenly took the initiative to hug Qin Changshen, choking and saying, "Thank you, young master. You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Fantasy, I Robbed Millions of Saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 267. Qin Changshen was stunned, but he instantly understood that Shang Guanshishi thought that his main purpose in going to the imperial domain was to help her rebuild the Yaokai Holy Land. The Holy Land of Yaokai must be rebuilt. After all, an experience pack as big as Shang Guanshishi cannot be wasted like this. Okay, what's going on with my young master's little slave girl crying all day long? Qin Changshen looked at Shang Guanshishi's delicate face with a smirk. Shang Guanshishi's beautiful big eyes looked at Qin Changshen with confusion. Well, I'll punish you, serve this young master at night, Qin Changsheng hugged Shang Guanshishi and said with a smile. Shang Guanshishi's face suddenly looked like a ripe apple, and his whole body involuntarily exuded a heat. A full half-month passed. Qin Changshen's flying palace crossed a mountain range of hundreds of thousands and arrived at a boundary. Is this the imperial realm? Qin Changshen's eyes lit up as he felt the rich spiritual energy between heaven and earth. The spiritual energy here is more than twice as rich as the area in Feiyang Royal City. And this is an ordinary area. If you practice on the spiritual veins, how fast will you practice? Perhaps the thinness and richness of spiritual energy is of little concern to people like Qin Changshen who possess plug-ins. But for ordinary cultivators, the richness of spiritual energy is related to their high realm. Just like Shang Guanxi poetry. Her talent is one of the best in the entire imperial realm, a genius rarely seen in a century. But after she left the imperial realm and went to a place with thin spiritual energy, in the past few years, she only improved her cultivation to the first level, but if he were still cultivating in the imperial domain, his cultivation would at least improve his cultivation in the third heaven. The reason why he couldn't help but attack Qin Changshen before was because he valued his status as a king-level alchemist. When the time comes, he would collect some materials to make alchemy for him. It was much faster than my hard-working practice. But then, I was not caught as a king-level alchemist, and instead became Qin Changshen's little slave girl. But she's fine now? Shang Guanshishi looked at him lying next to him. Qin Changshen, who was basking in the sun, smiled and took a grape-like spiritual fruit to Qin Changshen with his mouth, and ate it for him himself. Qin Changshen and Shang Guanshishi lingered for a while. A man and a woman stood on the flying palace and watched. Mountains and rivers at your feet. Shishi checked the nearby holy places. After playing for so long, it's time to get down to business. Taking a deep breath of the abundant spiritual energy in the air, Qin Changshen's eyes flashed with excitement. The strength of the saints practicing in such a place must be very strong. Even some saints from ordinary holy places must be enough to make Qin Changshen become the martial emperor of Xingzhang realm. Young master, I'd better put on my veil. After all, the imperial domain was full of my bounty notices. If I was seen by others, with young master's strength, there won't be any big problem, but there will always be let the young master waste a lot of energy. Shang Guanshishi said worriedly. This is not an exaggeration. The Yaokai Holy Land was broken up that year, and the Great Elder fought desperately to buy the disciples of the Yaokai Holy Land sect time to escape. The Holy Lord of the Yaokai Holy Land later cut off their lives and died for them. I don't know. As for the other ordinary disciples who scattered and escaped, Shang Guanshishi doesn't know whether the sisters are dead or alive now. But there were many wanted persons about her at that time. There are only saints in the Yaokai Holy Land, and the immortality of the Yaokai saint means that the Yaokai Holy Land has not been completely eradicated. Therefore, all the imperial forces that participated in the siege of the Yaokai Holy Land issued a reward for Shang Guanshishi in the entire imperial domain. Shang Guanshishi was able to escape from the imperial domain under such circumstances. Both luck and strength are indispensable. Dare you attract the attention of my young slave girl? That's not just to kill one of them, but to kill a pair of them. A huge ancient sword suddenly appeared in the sky, and the silhouette of the ancient sword suddenly appeared thousands of miles away in the sky. High in the sky, two middle-aged men were observing the figures on the flying palace in the distance. Both are king-level monks in the 6th level of Yunhai realm. The two of them have followed the flying palace for tens of thousands of miles. After entering the imperial domain, Qin Changshen slowly enjoyed the scenery along the way with Shang Guanshishi. Promotion. Strength is important, but it also requires a balance between work and rest. Besides, Qin Changshen is not idle every day, he is working hard. If you don't believe it, ask Shang Guanshishi what it's like to be the saint of Yaokai. Let's not talk about it for now. But the softness of this body is really amazing. And Shangguan Shishi is not only wild in robbery, but her interests in other places are even wilder. Too bad it was discovered. Compared with the two people enjoying themselves in the flying palace, the two sixth-grade martial kings thousands of miles away looked pale. The two accidentally discovered a bejeweled flying palace appearing in the mountains isolated from the outside world. Even in the imperial domain, this kind of flying palaces are very rare, but this is within the scope of the Holy Land of Linghui. Even if there is a force that really needs to pass through the territory, the Holy Land will notify you in advance and either ignore it, welcome it, or attack it. These holy places will issue special notices, but as the elders of Linghui Holy Land, they don't know about this. That can only mean that it is the name of an outsider in the imperial domain. Although these holy lands living on the periphery of the imperial domain have relatively poor resources, they still make some extra money every year. These extra money are these geniuses from the outside world. In their eyes, these people are indeed geniuses, but they can become king-level warriors at the age of 20 or 30 in an area with thin spiritual energy outside the imperial territory. But what about being a genius? Some older and more powerful cultivators know the rules of the imperial realm and will not intrude into the imperial realm without permission. The outsiders who can really wander around the imperial realm at will are all geniuses who rely on their own talents to feel that they have nothing to fear. If they met these people normally, the men would be able to rob them. If they were talented enough, they could just throw them back to the Holy Land, and they would still receive a decent reward. If you are a female practitioner who doesn't have many dungeons, the 10,000-foot ancient sword was suspended quietly in front of the two sixth-grade martial kings. The two did not even dare to move. The aura exuding from the ancient sword was obviously the power of the rules that can only be controlled by the master of swordsmanship. Where did this incredible genius come from? According to their observations, there were only young men and one young woman in their 20s in the flying palace. The man and woman were both relatively young, and their strength was at most around the 5th level of Yunhai realm. But with the ancient sword in front of me, which is condensed from the power of the rules of the sword, if you want to kill these two 6th-grade martial kings, you have to cut melons and vegetables. The flying palace, thousands of miles away, slowly swayed over. At this time, Shangguan Shishi and Qin Changsheng were fully dressed. Qin Changsheng looked at the two King Wu who followed him and hugged Shangguan Shishi, and said helplessly, "Come again. Two sent to death. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints." Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 268. That's what the young master said. The young master is very powerful. Amazing combat power. Even if the Star Tibetan martial emperor comes, also have to run away. Shangguan Shishi and Qin Changsheng have been living together during this period, and have they fallen in love with each other over time? He talks much more casually. Qin Changsheng stood in front of Shangguan Shishi calmly. Although he felt that what Shangguan Shishi said was a bit exaggerated, he still felt very happy. Of which holy land are you two from? Qin Changsheng looked at the two men wearing the same clothes and knew that there must be power behind these two people. If not, they would have been dead when they cast their first glance at the flying palace, and there would be no need for him. A layer of maze was laid to confuse the two of them. Male. She is Shangguan Shishi, the saint of Yaokai. One of the slightly powerful 6th-grade martial king was about to answer, but he subconsciously looked at Shangguan Shishi next to Qin Changsheng and his expression suddenly became excited. Qin Changsheng's eyes showed a trace of impatience, and a 100-foot-long fire dragon emerged from the void. He rose from the middle and directly swallowed the talkative 8th-grade man. I ask you to answer. Qin Changsheng is also very unhappy about being disturbed from Shangguan Shishi's interest. These two guys ruined his interest, but they have made Qin Changsheng unhappy for a long time. Now no matter what, kill one first to vent his anger. The other six King Pinwu trembled when he saw this scene, not daring to raise his head to look at Qin Changsheng. Who can he ask to reason? He just said the wrong sentence and was directly baked into ashes. He is just an ordinary 6th grade King Wu. The imperial domain is neither a high nor a low position. Even in his holy land of spiritual wisdom, he is still a dispensable figure. Which holy land are you from? Linghui. Holy land of Linghui. What is the strength of the strongest person in the Holy Land? Emperor Wu, the 6th grade martial king, hesitated for a moment, but answered Qin Changshen's question honestly. Then Shang Guan Shishi put on a veil and asked Qin Changsheng on behalf of Qin Changsheng about the Holy Land of Linghui. After about half an hour, Shang Guan Shishi nodded to Qin Changsheng, and a fire dragon instantly devoured the stunned 6th grade martial king. Such a person must not be kept. And if Qin Changsheng had not had the crushing strength to encounter these two 6th grade martial king, the current end is definitely not much better. Qin Changsheng also put away the eye-catching flying palace and took out a small warship flying at low altitude. Although the speed is not fast enough, the victory is that the target is small and stable. Shang Guan Shishi still takes the wearing her own veil. In the remote holy land of Linghui in the imperial domain, an ordinary elder can recognize Shang Guan Shishi's identity. If she enters a large gathering or city, Shang Guan Shishi's identity as the saint of Yaokai will definitely be revealed. See through. According to the story of the 6th grade martial king, the holy land of Linghui is located on a mountain range 50,000 miles away. The strength of the Holy Lord is the 9th grade martial king. However, there is also a Taizhang elder who has been in seclusion for many years in the back mountain Xingzhang realm. And the saint who Qin Changsheng cares about the most is not weak either. She has reached the level of the 3-star martial king, which is the 3rd level of Yunhai realm. Good. Target. Holy land of spiritual wisdom. Qin Changsheng looked in the direction of the holy land of Linghui with interest. As long as he gets the saint of holy land of Linghui, he can become the martial emperor of the Star Tibetan realm. Then an unqualified martial emperor will not be able to stop him at all. Young master. That's the Star Tibetan realm. Shang Guan Shishi looked at Qin Changsheng worriedly. This is not in Fei Yang royal city. The strongest one is the 9th grade martial king. Qin Changsheng can crush his opponents through his own advantages of becoming a saint and the advantages of his bloodline system, and even a leapfrog challenge. But in front of the Xingzhang realm, these advantages are not so great. And practitioners who can cultivate to the Xingzhang realm will not be inferior in talent and opportunity. My son. Have a great idea. Qin Changsheng deliberately played a trick and put his arms around Shang Guan Shishi's slender waist and entered the inner cabin. Under the control of Qin Changsheng, the boat arrived outside the territory of the Holy Land of Linghui the next day. Qin Changsheng was all dressed up the black robe, covering himself tightly, looked at the 6-man team led by a 5th grade martial king running toward him, and he had a rough estimate of the strength of Linghui Holy Land. The 5th grade martial king was in Linghui Holy Land. He was just the captain of the team watching the gate. It could be seen that the 6th grade martial king before had not deceived him. Who are you two? Be bold. How dare you stop my master, the immortal Pill King? The black runner played by Qin Changsheng stood on the plywood of the boat and looked indifferently at the two people in front of him without saying a word. Behind him, Shang Guan Shishi, whose identity had been discussed in advance, stood in front of Qin Changsheng wearing a veil, wearing a 5th grade martial arts king. The momentum is revealed without hesitation. Alchemy King. The 5th grade elder who led the team looked at Qin Changsheng, who was shrouded in black robes, with a somewhat surprised expression. In the imperial domain, only those who refine high-grade king-level elixirs can be called king of pills. Dare to ask. How high is this old gentleman? The 5th grade martial king who led the team looked at Qin Changsheng in surprise. Qin Changsheng threw a pre-refined second-grade elixir at the fifth-grade martial king without saying anything. He felt the pure second-grade king-level elixir. Flying towards him, the leader of the team, the sixth-grade martial king, was overjoyed and subconsciously wanted to pick up the second-grade king-grade elixir. But before he could reach out, the second-grade king-grade elixir that flew towards him suddenly exploded in mid-air. Come on! Several third-grade martial kings and first-grade martial kings standing around suddenly felt a spiritual energy pouring into their bodies. King-level second-grade elixir. Feeling the energy emitted by the explosion of the elixir, the leader of the fifth-grade King Wu said with conviction. Alchemists are welcome no matter where they are. Especially alchemists who have reached the king level can enter a large holy land or family even in the center of the imperial domain. It is not easy to be in this kind of place. If you encounter an alchemist of this level in a remote place, there is no way the holy land of Linghui will let him go. The fifth-grade martial king leading the team hurriedly and respectfully bowed to Qin Changsheng, who was wearing black robes, and immediately sent people back to the Holy Land to invite the Holy Master. He went out to greet him, while he respectfully stood guard around the boat where Qin Changsheng and Shang Guanshishi were sitting. If Qin Changsheng could help them refine some king-level elixirs, he might be able to cultivate more martial kings for the Holy Land, and even if the strength is sufficient, the Holy Master trapped in the 9th level martial king can break through, and the Holy Master who has been dormant for a long time can break through and enter the Star Tibetan realm. As expected, Qin Changsheng's guess was correct. The Holy Land of Linghui attaches great importance to a king-level alchemist. Soon a shockwave rose up in the Holy Land of Linghui, and an old man appeared in the sky above the boat. A follower of a fifth-grade martial king, coupled with the always weird appearance of the alchemist, the Holy Master of the Holy Land of Linghui was immediately convinced that this was a genuine king-level alchemist. Holy Master of Linghui Holy Land, Han Lingen invites fellow Taoist King Dan. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 269. Cold Spirit Root. Under the black robe, Qin Changsheng looked at Shang Guanshishi silently, and both of them suppressed their smiles. What a weird name this is, Hanligan. However, he is still a 9th level martial king, and there is a strong martial king level person sitting in charge. Qin Changsheng still feels that he needs to show some basic respect to the other party. Holy Lord Han, I am Qin Changsheng. This is my apprentice Shishi. Qin Changsheng's hoarse voice sounded from under the black robe. The King of Immortality Pill. Poetry little friend. Han Lingen bowed respectfully. There is no way that although he is a 9th grade martial king, according to observation, Qin Changsheng in front of him is only a 2nd grade king level alchemist. But alchemists are precious. Many disciples are stuck in unity for many reasons. Realm, if there is a king-level elixir at this time, it can save countless resources and time to cultivate a martial king. Therefore, a king-level alchemist is a treasure no matter where he is in the imperial domain. Especially in a small holy land like theirs, although it is only a 2nd level, the alchemy king could still be welcomed by the Holy Lord in person. Qin Changsheng and Shang Guanshishi entered the Holy Land of Linghui so easily under the leadership of Han Lingen. Qin Changsheng was a little surprised. After all, he was in the imperial domain. He didn't expect that he was such a second-rate person. An alchemist of the highest grade can easily enter the Holy Land of Linghui. According to Shang Guanshishi, the status of a king-level alchemist in the imperial domain is not very high. However, Qin Changsheng feels that Shang Guanshishi has no regard for this king-level alchemist. There is some misunderstanding about the low status of the alchemist. Looking at the grand welcome ceremony in front of me, the cool spiritual treasures floating in the sky, and the brilliantly shining stone tablet at the main entrance of the Holy Land of Spiritual Wisdom. It is so grand that I can grab it later. At that time, I was a little embarrassed to take action. Qin Changsheng, under the black robe, looked at the many disciples in Linghui Holy Land with gleaming eyes. Their strength was basically at the Yunhai realm, and most of their realms were in the 5th and 6th heavens. And Qin Changshen's rough estimate of the number of people in the Yunhai realm is at least 1,000. In addition, there are hundreds of 8th grade martial kings standing at the front. Judging from the momentum, such a group of people is completely enough to even attack Fei Yang King City. The King of Immortality Pill invites. Seeing Qin Changshen being shocked by the momentum displayed by his holy land, Ling Hangan smiled slightly. Most of the king-level alchemists who came to the border of the imperial domain were those who could not afford to offend him in the imperial domain. Some people were forced to come to the borderland to seek life. The other part was oppressed and squeezed out by other forces and forced to come to the border of the imperial domain. However, Qin Changshen dared to lead his disciples into their Linghui Holy Land. I guess he should. It's the latter, and even if it's the former, it's probably not a great person he offended. After all, he's just a second-grade king-level alchemist. Even if he really offends someone, the worst he can do is ask the Supreme Elder to come out and have a go. The martial emperor level, the warriors must give some thin noodles no matter what. When the time comes, they can retain a loyal second-grade martial king alchemist, and they will not lose no matter what. Of course, the purpose of the leader now is to find a way to make the other party stay in their holy land of spiritual wisdom willingly. Han Lingen followed Qin Changshen while introducing the situation in the Holy Land to the two of them, while sizing up Qin Changshen and the two. It is best for everyone to work together in a harmonious manner. You make alchemy for me, and I will provide you with shelter. If I'm really upset, I will have to force you to make elixirs for the Holy Land. Life will not be easy for everyone. Qin Changshen doesn't care and just looks at the situation of the Holy Land of Linghui. Not to mention the strength of the imperial domain. It is much more beautifully decorated than the holy places in other places. The Holy Land of Linghui is built on a huge spiritual vein. The disciples of the sect dug residences in various parts of the spiritual vein according to their strength, power, and talent. Qin Changshen looked at it for a long time. I have never found a saint, and others in the Holy Land of Linghui. I have been coveting the saint for a long time. As long as I get another saint, I can successfully enter the Star Tibetan realm, and then I can plunder more holy places and rob more saintess. And the treasure trove of the Holy Land of Linghui. The facade alone is so luxurious, who knows what treasures there are in the treasure trove. Qin Changshen thought expectantly. The King of Immortality Pill is here to invite you. I have already asked people to prepare a simple banquet to welcome the King of Pills. Ling Hangan invited Qin Changshen, because the news of Qin Changshen's arrival was too hasty, otherwise Ling Hangan would like to prepare a welcome party for tens of thousands of people to show the strength of their Linghui Holy Land. I'm tired. Qin Changshen said in a hoarse voice. When telling Shang Guanshishi about the plan, the two also discussed some details. The most important of which was Qin Changshen's character. Qin Changshen had played a character once before in the Holy Land of Thousand Formations. A weird alchemist. But at that time, king-level alchemists were very rare in remote holy places like the Holy Land of Thousand Formations. In addition, the Holy Lord of the Holy Land of Thousand Formations was at the level of unity at that time and was in urgent need of a king-level alchemist to help him. Breaking the realm. Therefore, Qin Changshen tolerates Qin Changshen, a king-level alchemist with a weird personality. Even if he is a saint, he can personally offer it to him. But the Holy Land of Linghui does not have such a great desire for a second-level alchemy king. Especially the Holy Land of Linghui, there was also the martial emperor. So Qin Changshen definitely could no longer play the role of an alchemist with a surly personality. So Shang Guanshishi simply gave Qin Changshen a rough background. There was a dispute with the 9th grade martial king in Heian Holy Land. Later, after he was promoted to the imperial rank, he voluntarily left the Heian Holy Land and lived in exile ever since. In this way, Qin Changshen's character can be classified as the kind of second-level alchemist who is a little proud, but has to bow his head in some places. Although it is a bit troublesome, but Qin Changsheng still finds it quite interesting. And as long as he can successfully contact the saints of the Holy Land of Linghui and receive 10 times the experience compensation from the system, he can become the Star Tibetan realm. Start what he is familiar with, robbing the Holy Land. Simple. The banquet was soon spread out in the main hall in the Holy Land of Linghui. Han Lingen was very considerate and let Qin Changshen, who was dressed in black robes, sit next to him. It was actually a bit difficult for a second-grade Dan King to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Holy Lord of the first place. Exaggeration. But Linghui Holy Land has never had a second-grade alchemy king. So Han Lingen really hopes that Qin Changshen will stay willingly to refine elixirs for Linghui Holy Land. Qin Changshen naturally realized what Han Lingen meant. But want him to make alchemy in a holy place? Is it possible? However, he neither agreed nor refused. Han Lingen knew that Qin Changshen probably couldn't let go of his former glory as the second-level alchemy king for a while. He was unwilling to accept it. Refining elixirs in a remote small holy land in the Holy Land of Linghui. But so what? Within 1,000,000 miles nearby, their Holy Land of Linghui is the strongest. Besides, even if Qin Changshen wants to leave, then he has to let people go by himself. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I Robbed Millions of Saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 270. Seeing the spiritual fruits placed at the bottom of the boxes from the major families in Feiyang City in front of him were placed on the table at random, Qin Changshen couldn't help but doubt the word simple. Although this level of spiritual tea and spiritual fruit has already been piled up in Linglong Immortal Mansion, a small holy land like Linghui can produce this level of spiritual fruit and spiritual tea. Qin Changshen became more and more curious about the treasure house of Holy Land of Linghui. By the way, the Immortal Pill King forgot to introduce you to our Holy Son and Holy Lady of Linghui Holy Land. As he said that, Han Lingen signaled to his subordinates to call the Holy Son and Saint. Qin Changshen was not kept waiting for a long time. A man and a woman walked in quickly. Han Lingen signaled everyone to be quiet and began to introduce Qin Changshen to the Holy Land of Linghui. Holy Son and Saint Daughter. The Holy Son is Han Lingen's biological son, and his strength is only the first level of Yunhai realm. But under Qin Changshen's observation, he found that the Holy Son's talent is not as powerful as Han Lingen boasted. Holy Land of Linghui. The Holy Son has such a strong spiritual energy in the imperial domain and a spiritual vein with the strongest spiritual energy. He has been practicing for 23 years before he can reach the first level of Yunhai realm. Do you sleep on your spiritual vein every day? But the saint beside you. Qin Changshen looked at the gray-faced saint beside him. Name, Jingyarui. System, innate Kangmu holy body. Bloodline, bloodline of Emperor Yunhu. Perfect. Realm, Yunhai realm, first level heaven. Achievements, 8th grade Xian. The first level combat skill, Kang Long Beam, perfect. The 8th level Xian level combat skill, Mu Feng Xing, perfect. The 9th level Xian level combat skill, Kang Long Steps, perfect. Skills, 8th level Alchemist. 4th level Formation Taoist skills. Qin Changshen was overjoyed when he saw Jingyarui's attributes. Not only was her physique a holy body, but her bloodline was also very strong. And most importantly, she was an 8th level alchemist and a 4th level Formation Taoist. First of all, with her Yunhai realm first level. After getting her, there is no doubt that he can become the Star Kang realm martial emperor. Originally, Qin Changshen's requirement for the Saint of Linghui Holy Land was that he could become the Star Kang realm martial emperor. But now, not only being able to become the martial emperor, Jing Yarui is actually an 8th level alchemist and a 4th level formation master. Make a lot of money. Make a lot of money. Qin Changsheng thought excitedly. But he was also quite curious. In the Holy Land of the Eastern Barren Continent, although there are saints and saints in all sects, the saints are trained as future heirs in the section. Most of the saints are vassals of the saint, and their strength is generally 1 or 2 realms higher than the saint. But according to her physique, the saint in the Holy Land of Linghui, even if she is trained as a saint in a normal Holy Land, will definitely be stronger than the saint on the side. And the saint has a gloomy face, which is not what a saint should be at all. Some expressions. Especially in this situation with outsiders. Could it be that? Qin Changshen, who was under the black robe, narrowed his eyes slightly, glanced at the holy sun beside him, and probably had a guess in his mind. I haven't paid my respects to King Alchemy yet. Han Lingen saw that the saint was like a wooden figure, and a cold light appeared in his eyes. He took out a small jade pendant and pressed it gently. The saint's expression suddenly turned ugly, and his whole body couldn't help but tremble. Shang Guanxi behind Qin Changshenxi's expression turned ugly when he saw this scene. This is a method of controlling the souls of cultivators in the imperial domain. It cannot be used by anyone but the martial emperor. This method is that the martial emperor uses his terrifying strength to plant seeds in the souls of the controlled cultivators. Next seed. Normally, this seed would be nothing, but if the controller activates something, the seed in the soul will roll crazily and explode in the soul of the cultivator. That kind of pain will be even under the world. Even the practitioners with the most tenacious willpower can't stand it. She doesn't understand what the Holy Lady Linghui has done wrong and why she should use such destructive methods on her. Saintess of Linghui, Jing Yarui, say hello to Senior Dan King. After Jing Yarui waited for the pain deep in her soul to subside, she said hello to Qin Changshen with difficulty. The Holy Sun beside her, who was her future husband, had long been accustomed to the scene of her father punishing Jing Yarui. He even looked at it. Seeing the way Jing Yarui was suffering, there was a hint of excitement and eagerness to try in his eyes. After he married Jing Yarui and used up all the value, he would have fun like this all day long. Can Jing Yarui become a saint? The girl's appearance is naturally not bad, with the royal sister's face and a soft and fragile temperament. If a normal man gets such a beautiful woman, he will take good care of it. But the Holy Son of Linghui Holy Land doesn't think so. After marrying, the first moment after that was torture. Haha, King Dan didn't know something. This girl escaped from outside the territory and entered the imperial territory, and she happened to be captured by me. You also know the rules of our imperial territory. For such cultivators who trespass into the imperial territory, it is generally the same. Kill without mercy. But I saw that she still had some talent, so I took her into the Holy Land at the risk of being punished, and even made her a saint. However, instead of being grateful at all, this girl escaped from the Holy Land several times without authorization, and was beaten. He hurt my Holy Son of Linghui Holy Land several times. Han Lingen looked at the Saint Jing Yarui with disgust. If his son hadn't coveted her beauty, this girl would have been refined into a cauldron and trained by Gongmen people. Even if she is established as a saint, she has always been. He forcefully asked her to practice the cauldron method. Only after waiting for the success, his son can better devour Jing Yarui's cultivation, bloodline, and physique. Gee, I have a way for such a disobedient woman. I can make her a medicine cauldron to help the Holy Son of the Holy Land to practice. If I refine her into a medicine cauldron, after the Holy Son enjoys it, all the saints' cultivation, bloodline, and physique will be passed on to the Holy Son without any consumption. Of course, men can also be refined into medicine cauldrons. Qin Changshen's hoarse voice sounded in the main hall of Linghui Holy Land, especially that sentence was added later. Everyone except Jing Yarui couldn't help but tremble. It is rumored that the alchemist has always had a weird and surly temperament, and it turned out to be true when I saw him today. Even Han Lingen looked a little uncomfortable. Even if he could force a woman to practice the cauldron, even though she would lose all her cultivation afterwards, she would still have a life left. And he had really heard of what Qin Changsheng said during the imperial feast held once in 100 years. An alchemist can refine a person into an elixir for people to practice. It's just that this method is too cruel and inhumane, and it is usually done behind someone's back. I didn't expect that this old guy next to me not only knew how to do it, but also dared to say it in public. Extremely abnormal. The entire hall suddenly fell silent because of Qin Changshen's words. No one, male or female, dared to look at the alchemy king beside the holy master. If you are in a bad mood, I will make you into a pill. Only Shang Guan Shishi, who had been standing behind Qin Changshen, stuck out his tongue secretly. Only she knows what kind of person Qin Changshen is in front of her, who has been imagined by everyone to be the great demon king. However, Jing Yarui, who had been silent, suddenly spoke. She looked at Qin Changshen very seriously and said sincerely, "Please, senior, do it." Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 271. You are crazy. The Holy Son standing next to him looked at Jing Yarui in disbelief. A person was refining the elixir alive. Normal people can't help but be afraid just thinking about the pain involved. But Jing Yarui actually took the initiative, asked Qin Changshen to refine the alchemy cauldron for her. Rather than being tortured like this by you, it would be better to be directly refined into an alchemy cauldron by the seniors to understand this life. 2 lines of tears rolled down Jing Yarui's eyes. She was the only one who knew about the torture and horrific pressure she had suffered over the years. She was originally the daughter of the Holy Lord in a small holy land in the outside world, but because of her playfulness, she ignored the Holy Land's advice and sneaked there. Imperial domain. By chance, she met Han Lingen, the Holy Land of Linghui Holy Land, and was deceived by her to come to Linghui Holy Land as a guest. Jing Yarui, who was young at the time, believed in Han Lingen and came to Linghui Holy Land. As a result, she arrived at Linghui Holy Land. Only then did Han Lingen reveal his fangs. He not only placed her under house arrest, but also forced her to practice the one-way cauldron method. He only waited for the Holy Son to absorb his blood, physique, and strength after breaking through to the 3rd level of Yunhai realm. Even for they asked themselves to practice the method of the cauldron as soon as possible, and they also planted vicious restrictions in their souls. They forced themselves to practice the method of the cauldron. Instead of waiting in such despair until the Holy Son cultivated to the 3rd level of Yunhai realm, they completely become the plaything of the Holy Son. It is better to have a happy one now to end this painful and difficult day. Lord Han, Qin Changshen's hoarse and old voice looked at Han Lingen with a hint of excitement. I promise that the saint's talent, physique, blood, and strength can be passed on to the saint's body without any waste. This, Han Lingen was still hesitating, and the Holy Son beside him spoke unbearably. Holy Lord, actually, it's not necessary. What if Jing Yarui was refined into an alchemy cauldron? Treason. You still covet other people's beauty. Han Lingen, who was still hesitating, originally did not want to directly refine Jing Yarui into a pill. However, seeing that his son, as the Holy Son and the next generation successor of the Holy Land of Linghui, gave up improving his strength for the sake of beauty, he directly say yes. That would be troublesome to King Alchemy. If this matter becomes my holy land of spiritual wisdom, I will surely give you a generous gift. Easy to say, Qin Changshen's hoarse voice was filled with excitement, as if he was really a pervert, excitedly preparing to refine a living person into a medicine cauldron. The Holy Son wanted to say something else, but seeing the stern look on the Holy Lord's face, he decisively chose to shut up. You, "Come over," Qin Changsheng said to the Saint Jingyarui in a sinister voice. Jingyarui glanced at Qin Changsheng, who was wearing a black robe. In her eyes, Qin Changsheng was a living old monster. But compared to the one in the holy land of Linghui Vicious, she would rather end this life quickly. Jingyarui thought everything through, wiped the tears from her eyes, and walked towards Qin Changsheng resolutely. "Alchemy King, now." This banquet was just held, looking at Jingyarui, who had already walked in front of Qin Changsheng. Han Lingen said hesitantly. Even if he really decided to let Jingyarui be refined into elixir by Qin Changsheng, but directly in his palace, there is still something wrong. Qin Changsheng, who was under the black robe, had a smile on his face. He stretched out his fair and delicate arms from under the wide black robe, grabbed Jingyarui's wrist, and pulled her into his arms. "Because I don't want to sit with disgusting scum like you anymore." Qin Changsheng finished speaking indifferently, and Jingyarui's figure disappeared into the hall the next moment. She disappeared with Shang Guan Shishi behind her. "Because I'm afraid it will involve the battle between the martial emperors in the Xingzhang realm." For safety, for the sake of safety, Qin Changsheng decided to let Shang Guan Shishi enter Linglong Immortal Mansion first. And there is Jingyarui. Shang Guan Shishi can also explain what kind of person this young master is. "Diddy, congratulations to the Holy Master for successfully plundering the Holy Lady Jingyarui of spiritual wisdom. The reward is being calculated." "Diddy, congratulations to the Holy Lord. The Holy Lady Jingyarui of spiritual wisdom has reached the first level of the Yunhai realm. After gaining 10 times, she will give back to the Holy Lord." "Diddy, congratulations to the Holy Lord. The Holy Lady Jingyarui of spiritual wisdom possesses the innate Kangmu holy body. After 10 times the gain, give back to the Holy Lord." "Diddy, congratulations to the Holy Lord. The Holy Lady Jingyarui of spiritual wisdom has the bloodline of Emperor Yunhu. After gaining 10 times, she will give back to the Holy Lord." "Diddy, congratulations to the Holy Master. The Holy Lady Jingyarui of spiritual wisdom is now an 8th level alchemist. A 4th level Taoist master. After gaining 10 times, he will give back to the Holy Lord." "Diddy, congratulations to the Holy Master. The Holy Lady Jingyarui of spiritual wisdom for her 8th grade Xian level combat skill, Kang Long Beam, perfect. 8th grade Xian level combat skill, Mu Feng Xing, perfection. 9th grade Xian level combat skills, Kang Long Pace, perfection. After 10 times the gain, give back to the Holy Lord." The system's little lowly's voice immediately sounded again. "Holy Master, Qin Changsheng. Age, 19. Physique, innate Emperor Flame holy body. Bloodline, Tyrant Dragon King bloodline, thin. The realm of Taoism, the way of the piano, the way of enlightenment and becoming a saint, the way of the sword, the way of enlightenment and becoming a saint, the way of fire, the way of enlightenment and becoming a saint. The way of formation, enlightenment and becoming a saint. Cultivation realm, Xingzhang realm, martial emperor. Skill, king level 5th grade alchemy. A 3rd grade king level Taoist master. Combat skills, 9th level profound level combat skill Dragon Power 9 Heavens Body Technique, perfection. 9th level profound level combat skill Sword Immortal Coming, perfection. King level 1st level combat skill Vulcan Heart, perfection. Qin Changsheng looked at his attribute panel with a smile on his face. Jingyarui, as a 1st level saint of the Yunhai realm, has made a huge improvement for herself. The first is his own strength, which successfully allowed him to enter the Xingzhang realm from the Yunhai realm, and also became a first-class martial emperor. However, his physique has evolved to the innate emperor's flame saint body, which is very close to the divine body, and his bloodline has also undergone a major upgrade. Qin Changsheng even feels that the bloodline he has now can be almost equal to the emperor's bloodline if it evolves to a strong level. Royal bloodline. There are also alchemists and formation masters who have been directly upgraded with 10 times the system's rewards. Qin Changsheng is now a 5th level king level alchemy master and a 3rd level king level formation Taoist master. In addition, his martial arts skills have also been upgraded. It's just that Jing Yarui's martial arts level doesn't seem to be very high, so the improvement is not big, just barely 1 level. But Qin Changsheng had already sensed the hidden aura hiding in the back mountain. There is no problem in solving a small holy land of spiritual wisdom. The wind rises from the ground of the main hall. Wan Li's spiritual energy began to boil, and the golden spiritual light in Qin Changsheng's Danshan Sea disappeared, just like the stars inside, and the entire sea of Qi turned into gold. Outside the main hall, the disciples of the Linghui Holy Land sect looked at the sky in the distance in horror. What is that? At this time, a 10,000-mile crack suddenly appeared in the western sky, and endless sword energy roared down. The surrounding space could not bear the terrifying sword intent, and dark holes began to appear in the space. Everyone's heart I can't help but recall a sentence. Tian He. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 272. That's not all. Look to the east. The rules of the avenue condensed into a 10,000-foot gukin across the sky. The spiritual energy was wrapped in white clouds and turned into a tall shadow tens of thousands of feet. It sat cross-legged in front of the gukin and waved the gukin. Colorful gukin sounds flowed out from the huge gukin, surrounding and floating into the distance. North, there's one in the north too. A series of formations exuding lines surround a nearly solid giant of 100,000 feet tall. The giant is wearing spiritual armor, holding a 10,000-meter tall longsword in one hand, and his huge divine eyes are staring at the distant south. South, south, south. As disciples of the Holy Land in the imperial domain, whether they have read ancient books or witnessed with their own eyes, they have never seen such a terrifying vision of heaven and earth. The sun was hanging directly above the entire sky in the south. At this time, a fiery red halo appeared around the outline. The sound of dragon roars that shocked the ages came from an unknown distance in the sky. Fire dragons hundreds of thousands of meters high flew out from the dazzling light in the sky. Kyujo. A total of 9 terrifying fire dragons roared toward the holy land of Linghui, swinging in the air with a huge body composed of avenue rules. Han Lingen, who was at the 9th level of Yunhai realm, looked at the scene in horror. At this time, an old figure appeared strangely next to him. He is Han Jinggan, the most powerful supreme elder in the holy land of Linghui, the martial emperor of the Star Kang realm. Looking at Qin Changsheng, who was wearing a black robe suspended in his holy land, he was looking at the strange phenomena of heaven and earth appearing in the sky. Han Jinggan looked at Qin Changsheng in the sky and the 4 strange phenomena that appeared between heaven and earth in shock. When did such a disciple appear in Linghui Holy Land? This is obviously the strange phenomenon in the world caused by the breakthrough from the 9th level of Yunhai realm to the Xingzhang realm. But when I broke through the Star Tibetan realm, I didn't cause such a terrifying phenomenon. Han Lingen also realized at this time that the man in black robes sitting next to him just now was the shameless young 9th-grade martial king in front of him. Is this the holy son of the 9 emperor-level holy places in the imperial domain? When you come out to experience life, you won't have to go to the very edge of the imperial territory. Han Lingen broke into a cold sweat and hurriedly recalled whether Qin Changsheng had neglected anything when he came to the holy land of Linghui. I found that only the last meeting with the holy son and saint daughter was a little unexpected. Everything else was done according to the highest standards, Qin Changsheng. As for Qin Changsheng's last anomaly, Han Lingen's eyes should be on Jing Yarui. As long as he quietly waits for Qin Changsheng to break through to the Star Tibetan realm, and then says a few words to give Jing Yarui to Qin Changsheng should not cause trouble for them in a remote holy land in the imperial domain. What happened? Seeing his son Han Lingen's expression alternately looking sad and happy, he frowned and said, "The lord of the holy land can't even show his joy and anger. All these years of being the Holy Lord have been in vain. Han Lingen's reaction came over and hurriedly gave my father a brief explanation of the situation. It is indeed worthwhile to give up Jingyarui, who is only a first-grade martial king, to protect the entire Holy Land. In addition, if it is really confirmed that he is the Holy Son or disciple of the 9 Holy Lands in the Imperial domain, don't be stingy with the treasures in the Holy Lands. Han Chingan said with a serious face. There are 2 different concepts between people taking it themselves and us taking the initiative to give it to them. Han Lingen's expression suddenly became serious. He had just been paying attention to the vision of heaven and earth caused by Qin Changshen's promotion, and he didn't expect this at all. If Qin Changshen really took a fancy to the things in their holy land of spiritual wisdom, he didn't react. Come over. Which of the 9 holy lands in the imperial realm has a good temper? If we really take action against their holy land of Linghui, relying on the foundation of these imperial-level holy places in the imperial domain, one person is enough to destroy the entire holy land of Linghui. This has happened in the imperial domain. There was once a holy son of the 9 holy lands who single-handedly destroyed a small holy land with a population of hundreds of thousands because of the offense of the holy lord of a small holy land. Therefore, when facing these saints who are most likely to be emperor-level holy places, especially the saints of the 9 holy places, they should not be provoked. It would be better to lose the foundation accumulated over tens of thousands of years than to have the entire holy land destroyed. A huge fire dragon hovers over the holy land of Linghui. All the disciples of the sect, as long as they are cultivators below the 5th level of Hyun realm, will immediately feel a burning feeling coming from the depths of their souls. Even the cold spirit roots of the 9th grade martial king need to forcefully suppress the burning feeling from the soul and look at the sky in horror. The way of fire is enlightened and sanctified. Become a saint. A terrifying thought emerged in Han Lingen's mind. Normal practitioners who break through the Yunhai realm and break through the Xingzhang realm can only cause a strange phenomenon in the world. But ancient books record that the great saints who achieved double enlightenment in ancient times could obtain 2 kinds of visions of heaven and earth. But now, it is extremely difficult to achieve enlightenment and become a saint. Even in the imperial domain, there have been geniuses who have achieved enlightenment and become saints in the past 10,000 years. And if Qin Changshen's current posture is really as rumored, how many kinds of Taoism has he demonstrated? Holy Lord Linghui is afraid to think about it. No wonder this guy had to break through in a remote map of the imperial territory. If a breakthrough in the heart of the imperial territory causes such anomalies, I'm afraid Qin Changshen will never live for 100 years. Otherwise, the ancestors of other families would definitely not be able to sleep. But this is not the end. Little rays of light began to appear around Qin Changshen, and the giant sword condensed in the northern formation inspired the giant sword in his hand. One after another formation marks appeared at Qin Changshen's feet. The formation marks quickly condensed into blooming colorful lotuses, and Qin Changshen stood on top of the colorful lotuses condensed by the formation. The giant who was playing the guqin in the distance suddenly sped up his fingers, and brilliant light came out of the guqin. The brightness of the light actually covered up the light in the sky. In the huge sword energy waterfall to the west, an ancient long sword condensed and struck Qin Changshen directly. Until the fire dragon floated in front of Qin Changshen. The light spots flying in the sky around Qin Changshen suddenly exploded. The exploding balls of light shone like stars, and the dazzling light hovered around Qin Changshen. The mysterious power of the Great Avenue enveloped Qin Changshen. However, Qin Changshen's expression was not as shocked as the people in the holy land of Linghui. Instead, he looked at the sky with some doubts. The 4 phenomena of heaven and earth are unbelievable in the eyes of other cultivators. But for the systematic Qin Changshen, he had seen a lot. But when he broke through the Yunhai realm, he already had 4 kinds of strange phenomena in the world. But at that time, he could already inspire 4 kinds of visions of heaven and earth. And now I have realized the 4 ways of Taoism. Coupled with the fact that I have broken through Yunhai realm, how come there should be 5 kinds of visions of heaven and earth? When everyone in the holy land of Linghui looked at Qin Changshen, they looked a little dissatisfied and their hearts exploded. The previous holy master of Linghui Holy Land, who is now the supreme elder, only caused a strange phenomenon in the world when he broke through the star Tibetan realm. And the scope of influence is no more than 1,000 miles. But let's not talk about Qin Changshen's 4 phenomena of heaven and earth. The crazy riot of spiritual energy within a radius of 1,000,000 miles is enough to prove how terrifying Qin Changshen's talent is. Some disciples were just about to continue complaining when the sky, which was already occupied by 4 kinds of strange phenomena, suddenly changed again. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 273. Is this, really just a breakthrough to the star Tibetan realm? The rules of the avenue in the sky condensed into a golden avenue. The avenue was about 10,000 feet wide and countless miles long, leading directly to the heaven and the earth. The golden light filled the whole world. After all, the holy land of Linghui was a holy land in the imperial domain, although most of the disciples were poor. They have never had the opportunity to step into the center of the imperial domain in their lives. But they are not unfamiliar with the breakthrough of the Yunhai realm. They even have a vague understanding of the legendary breakthrough of the Xingzang realm to the Tongtian realm. And there are many under the leadership of the Holy Lord. People have observed and visited other Yunhai realm and 9th level heavens to break through the Starkang realm. But in any case, they have never seen Qin Changshen's breakthrough into the Xingzang realm emperor level that can cause so many, so terrifying things. Visions of heaven and earth. How many visions is this already? The 5th. A whole 5. And how old does Qin Changshen look? 20 years old? 30 years old? This is a lifespan of 10,000 years in the star Tibetan realm. In front of him, Qin Changshen, who was in his 20s, was too scary. A thunderous drum sound suddenly sounded in the sky. Then a legendary real dragon roared out from the golden avenue. A terrifying power pressed to appear between this world. This is a real dragon. Oh my God, this bloodline is obviously the legendary true dragon with royal bloodline. Who is he? How could there be such a heaven-defying vision of heaven and earth? Even Shangguan Shishi, who had witnessed Qin Changshen's vision of breaking through the world in Linglong Immortal Mansion, could not remain calm. This is the legendary real dragon. Even in the Yaokai Holy Land in its heyday, there were only real dragons that existed in ancient books. The colorful lotus under Qin Changshen's feet bloomed with endless brilliance at this moment. Countless avenue marks rushed into Qin Changshen's body crazily. Several strange phenomena in the sky turned into avenues and rules and poured into Qin Changshen's body. Qin Changshen could clearly sense that a mysterious force was being born in his body. The connection between the sea of stars within oneself and the sea of stars outside becomes deeper and deeper. This means that the power of heaven and earth that Qin Changshen can mobilize becomes increasingly larger and more arbitrary. It is not at the same level as the power of heaven and earth that could be mobilized in Yunhai realm before. And the 4 lines that originally connected Qin Changshen to heaven and earth are now getting deeper and deeper. These 4 lines naturally represent the power of the 4 great avenues. The way of the harp, the way of the array, the way of the fire, and the way of the sword. Qin Changshen could feel that after breaking through the Starkang realm, his use of the 4 powers became more and more profound. Qin Changshen is even sure that if there are Yunhai realm warriors who want to use the power of these 4 laws in front of him, you can even directly control the other party in reverse. Even the martial emperor of the Xingzang realm will be greatly restricted and affected when using the power of these 4 laws in front of him. This is the terrifying thing about Qin Changshen. Ordinary Xingzang realm is completely vulnerable to Qin Changsheng. Qin Changsheng opened his eyes that seemed to contain the stars. At this time, the vision between heaven and earth was slowly dissipating. Qin Changsheng stood on top of Kalian in mid-air, and the avenue marks around him were still frantically responding to Qin Changsheng to help him stabilize his strength. At this time, Qin Changsheng stood calmly in the center of the whirlpool, but the whirlpool was composed of the marks of heaven and earth. Congratulations to fellow Taoist, for successfully entering the imperial realm. Congratulations to Senior, for becoming a first-grade martial emperor. Han Cheng'an stepped forward and congratulated him loudly. Han Ling'an also led the entire Holy Land of Spiritual Wisdom to congratulate Qin Changsheng. Qin Changshen's breakthrough this time actually broke through directly to the first level of the Star Tibetan realm. Even if you can't make friends with such a heaven-defying genius, it must not be offended either. In order to show that fellow Taoist has successfully advanced, this is a little thought of our Holy Land of Linghui. In addition, I heard that fellow Taoist is also a second-grade alchemist. As long as fellow Taoist can like anything in our Holy Land of Linghui, fellow Taoist, you can open your mouth, as long as I would like to do my best. Han Cheng'an, the great elder of Linghui Holy Land, said respectfully. Although he has always called Qin Changsheng a Taoist friend on the surface, Han Cheng'an has always practiced discipleship. Even the last sentence directly pointed out that as long as Qin Changsheng can like them, you can have anything you want from the Holy Land of Linghui. The disciples of the Holy Land of Linghui looked at the Supreme Elder in the sky with some confusion. Qin Changsheng can break through in their Holy Land, no matter how you look at it, he should be a friend of the Holy Land of Linghui. He won't want to, you must be so cautious. Could this senior who had just broken through the Star Tibetan realm really take action against the Holy Land of Linghui in a remote area of the imperial domain? Qin Changsheng did not say anything but just looked at Han Cheng'an in front of him with a smile on his lips. Smile. Treasure house, of course it's all me. As for you. Qin Changsheng casually recruited Jing Yarui, the saint of Linghui Holy Land, from Lingling Immortal Mansion. Jing Yarui, are you willing to be my little slave girl and serve me? Qin Changsheng put away his black robe and looked at Jing Yarui, who was still dazed. Jing Yarui was still immersed in the terrifying scene where Qin Changsheng had just broken through and the deeds of Qin Changsheng relayed by Shang Guan Shishi. After a while, he came back to his senses. She nodded and agreed without any hesitation. Compared to the cruelty of Linghui Holy Land, she was more willing to stay by Qin Changsheng's side. She already knew that the scene Qin Changsheng showed in Linghui Holy Land was just to disguise herself. He is definitely not a bad person in nature. Shang Guan Shishi stood next to Jing Yarui and looked at Jing Yarui pitifully. Shang Guan Shishi also had a little understanding of what she had encountered in the Holy Land of Linghui over the years. Shang Guan Shishi had no idea about this. This seemingly decent sect is actually extremely vicious and insidious. I hate it. Back then, the Yaokai Holy Land was not attacked so quickly during the siege of several imperial-level holy places. It was just because I trusted a few holy places that I had good friends with on weekdays. After relaxing some of their vigilance, Yaokai Holy Land was attacked by these 2 or 5 young men. The destruction was done in a generous manner. Like Linghui Holy Land, a holy land that seems to be righteous on the surface, but secretly does some insidious methods, Shang Guan Shishi is absolutely kill them one by one. Unless the young master pleads for them, I will try to let them go. I do. Jing Yarui looked at Qin Changsheng with a flash of light in her eyes. She had also seen the saints in seclusion in Lingling Immortal Mansion. She knew that following Qin Changsheng would at least not be life-threatening, and even if, really it's better to be Qin Changsheng's plaything, than to stay with the disgusting and perverted holy son of Linghui Holy Land. Well, since you are my young slave girl, then it is up to you to decide the fate of Linghui Holy Land. Qin Changsheng stood with his hands behind his back, looking at the holy land of Linghui under his feet, and said expressionlessly, "Fellow Senior." Han Lingen and Han Jinggan's expressions suddenly changed, and they hurriedly shouted, "If Jingyarui is allowed to deal with their holy land of Linghui, what did Linghui Holy Land do to Jingyarui? The holy land of Linghui is in danger." Fantasy, I robbed millions of saints. Author, The Dream of a Million Saints. Chapter 274. Why do you have any opinions? Looking at the two people who were at war with each other, Qin Changsheng said with an indifferent smile. Han Lingen's methods have disgusted him for a long time. If these two people really dare to do something to him, he has just the reason to do something to the holy land of Linghui. This is the first time to rob the holy land of the imperial domain. Thinking about it, Qin Changsheng has some inexplicable expectations. Fellow Taoist, isn't that a little too much? Han Jinggan looked at Qin Changsheng's face and gradually began to stiffen. Jingyarui must have hated their Linghui Holy Land to the core after what they had experienced. The disciples of the Linghui Holy Land noticed the tense momentum and suddenly felt that something was wrong. Han Lingen even began to feel secretly summoned his disciples to activate the sect's internal formation. The formation of Linghui Holy Land was built by Han Jinggan at a huge cost to hire a Taoist formation master after he broke through the Xingzhang realm. With the sect's formation of Linghui Holy Land, plus a Star Tibetan realm martial emperor, it is possible to trap a second-grade martial emperor to death and contain a third-grade martial emperor. So even if Qin Changsheng really wants to take action, it is not that they cannot fight in the holy land of Linghui. They can even fight. There is a high chance that he can kill Qin Changsheng. However, Han Jinggan was afraid that Qin Changsheng was the holy son of the 9 holy lands in the imperial domain, so he disguised himself and went to a remote area of the imperial domain to break through the Star Tibetan realm. After all, what Qin Changsheng had just caused the vision of heaven and earth is too terrifying. If there is such a holy son with terrifying talents in the hostile holy land of Linghui Holy Land, there is absolutely no way that Han Lingen and Han Jinggan of Linghui Holy Land can be allowed to grow. Even now Han Jinggan, Han Lingen, and both of them are very convinced that Qin Changsheng is the holy son in the 9 emperor-level holy places. They don't want to break up with Qin Changsheng yet, even if they use up the resources and treasures of the entire holy land, as long as they can make Qin Changsheng just let them go. But if Qin Changsheng insists on taking action, we can't blame the two of them for being cruel. At worst, they will fight to the death and kill Qin Changsheng. The two of them will take the core disciples of Linghui Holy Land and Qin Changsheng. The treasures on their bodies escaped from the imperial domain. At worst, they would lie dormant for hundreds of years, and when the Hanligan broke through to the Star Tibetan realm, they would become the martial emperors and return to the imperial domain. After hundreds of years of baptism, even if someone still remembers them, they would not. Maybe they were searching the entire imperial territory for the sake of the holy son who had been dead for hundreds of years. Senior, there were indeed things that our holy land of Linghui did not do well in advance, but now that the saint has been adopted as a slave by you, we, the holy land of Linghui, are willing to use the resources of the entire holy land to compensate Saint Jingyarui. We only hope that Senior can let us Linghui go. Holy Land One Horse. Han Jinggan looked at the sect formation that had risen, and finally felt that he had some confidence to negotiate with Qin Changsheng. The sect disciples in Linghui Holy Land also knelt on the ground very humbly, begging Qin Changsheng to forgive him. Changsheng looked at the dark crowd kneeling on the ground and Han Jinggan's humble appearance, and hesitated a little. It's hard for me to be a human being when you are so polite. Qin Changsheng scratched his head and looked at Han Jinggan in front of him irritably. Saint Jingyarui looked at Qin Changsheng nervously. From his point of view, naturally he wished Qin Changsheng would destroy the holy land of Linghui. But he was also worried that Qin Changsheng, who had just broken through the Star Tibetan realm, would not have the strength to destroy the entire holy land of Linghui. After all, Qin Changsheng was only a first-class martial emperor who had just broken through the Star Tibetan realm. Facing an established martial emperor like Han Chingan, plus the Holy Land of Linghui formation, the chance of winning is not great. Young master, if it doesn't work, forget it. We want compensation. Never mind. Jing Yarui looked at Qin Changsheng with some embarrassment. She was very satisfied to be free from the control of Linghui Holy Land. If Qin Changsheng was really willing to avenge himself, she wouldn't mind waiting for Qin Changsheng to return to Linghui Holy Land to avenge her after some time. After all, she has been here for so many years, and she can afford to wait a few more years given her lifespan. Saint Jing Yarui is right, senior, as long as you are willing to let go of my holy land of spiritual wisdom, you can choose the treasures in the Holy Land. Han Chingan's face lit up, and he glanced at Jing Yarui with gratitude. Unexpectedly, this woman was quite sensible and saved them a lot of trouble. Qin Changsheng glanced at Jing Yarui, and he naturally knew this. What is the little slave girl worried about? But the little slave girl who is my master dare not say what is in her heart. Look back and see how I will punish you. Haha, is that so? In fact, I was joking just now. After all, Linghui Holy Land didn't offend me. I'm not that kind of unreasonable person. Why would I fight with Holy Lord Han and others? Qin Changsheng stood in the air and looked at Han Chingan and Han Lingan with a smile. The two looked happy, but before they spoke, Qin Changsheng added slowly. But why didn't you mention the rising formation and the restrictions in the soul sea of my little slave girl from the beginning to the end? Qin Changsheng's voice suddenly became cold, and he looked at the two people in front of him. A long sword appeared in the sky above Linghui Holy Land, and the hem of Qin Changsheng's clothes swayed in the air with the strong wind. Big river, of water, come to heaven. Set up the formation, Han Chingan screamed in horror as he felt the terrifying power of rules on the sword. He also didn't expect that Qin Changsheng would start fighting immediately after a disagreement, without leaving any room for reservation. Qin Changsheng, the Holy Land of Linghui, have given you enough face. Don't think that just because you are the holy son of an imperial power, you can do whatever you want. I just entered the Xingzhang realm, so I really thought that the Holy Land of Linghui was a weak persimmon. Han Chingan's old face revealed ferociousness. The Holy Land of Linghui has existed in the imperial domain for tens of thousands of years, although it was mainly because it was located on the edge of the imperial domain, and even some top forces passing by did not bother to pay attention to such a small holy land. But being able to survive in the cracks for so many years is partly due to strength. The formation in Linghui Holy Land emitted a powerful light, and Han Chingan stood directly in the center of the formation, looking at Qin in the sky. There was a hint of ruthlessness in Changshen's eyes. So what can the Holy Sun do? Today he wants to see if they can afford the price of killing a Holy Sun. Snort, Qin Changsheng looked at the people in Holy Land of Linghui who still wanted to resist, and a cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. The long sword of 10,000 feet in the sky gently opened the space in the air, and a terrifying space crack suddenly appeared in the sky of Holy Land of Linghui. Oh, didn't you see just now that the way of my formation has actually become a saint? Qin Changsheng said with a smile as he looked at the people in the Holy Land of Linghui who dared to display formations in front of him. Just now, these people were immersed in the strange phenomena of heaven and earth caused by their caution, and did not notice that Qin Changsheng was actually the master of formations. The enlightened saint. What? Han Chingan's pupils suddenly dilated. They didn't really notice it at all. The next moment, Han Chingan felt that the formation he controlled began to escape from his control. The formation that originally enveloped the entire Holy Land, a big hole suddenly opened in the sky. Then many disciples of Linghui Holy Land suddenly let out a roar of despair. The terrifying space crack in the sky started to emerge like a waterfall, and terrifying sword energy began to emerge.